What is up, guys? This is JT. Have not been posting at all, but kind of been busy. Looking at my 95 GST, and I noticed a couple things that I didn't notice before. That this car does not have ABS. In the fuse box where you'd normally see an ABS fuse, there is no fuse. So I actually looked over where the ABS usually is. There's usually an ABS entire unit right there. There's not one on this car, which explains why my brakes locked up when I was doing 70. So if you have a 95 GST, do not lock your brakes up. My 97 has a whole full anti-lock brake system, and those brakes work a lot better. That car is not in running condition right now, but what I'm doing right now is a parasitic draw test. And I ran the car, got the battery nice and charged up. And if I leave it sitting for too long, then eventually the battery just dies. So I've got my multimeter hooked up this way. You gotta switch it over to the amps. The amperage, this is gonna be your ohms. And if you do not hook this up right, you will possibly destroy it. But I've got a vice grips on my positive terminal, so it's not touching anything ground. I don't want to ground out the battery. And I've got my positive lead on the positive, and then the negative is going down to the battery terminal itself, or the connection to the battery terminal. And you'll notice that I'm getting a reading on this setting. I'm not even sure what this setting is for, but it seems to do the trick. So I'm getting 005, and I'm not sure what that represents because this is a cheapo piece of junk. But as you can see, when I pull this fuse right here, which according to their map is a room lamp and habitacle, or whatever the fuck that is. And as I pull it out, boom, it drops down. And when I barely put it in, let's see if you can hear it. I doubt that's picking it up, but as I put it back in, it goes up to 5. So I do have somewhat of a parasitic draw. I'm not sure if maybe could be something stupid like a small light, like a tiny little light bulb in the console. It could be no big deal. I'm not even sure what that actually represents when it comes to the numbers, because like I said, this is just a cheapo Harbor Freight, so I'm not really getting an amperage reading. And I haven't looked up quite what's acceptable on this car, but I do know that if it sits for a long time, it drains the battery down. So I do have some sort of an issue. And once you figure out what fuse solves the problem or gets rid of most of it, then you can actually trace down on the schematics and find in that circuit what could possibly be causing it. And it's also as easy as getting in the car and maybe just looking around, see if there's any lights on. And I do believe there might be a little alarm light somewhere underneath the dash or something like that. Right there, there's a little bitty alarm light right underneath where the stereo should be, and that means that there's a car alarm in here. And I do see a car alarm horn, so maybe in fact that's actually causing it to do that. I'm not entirely sure, but there is a little switch under the dashboard. I'm going to play with that and see if that does anything. But that's about how you go when it comes to a parasitic draw, is just start yanking fuses, and when it drops off, it goes all the way completely gone. I don't think it'll go all the way gone because it's got to keep a little bit of power to the memory of the computer. So you're always going to have a little bit, but that's the easiest way that I learned in mechanics school to find a parasitic draw, something that's draining your battery. Quick, easy to do, as long as you know how to yank fuses, and if you could pull schematics off the internet, then you could find it with no problem. Usually it's going to be some sort of a switch device, possibly a light that's grounded out, or even in your stereo equipment, if something is slightly grounded out, it will cause a short circuit, cause the battery to drain. That would be way more indicated than just 005. It would be a lot higher. So any questions on that, or if I missed anything, I'm not scripted, so sorry about that, then just let me know. Continuing on the journey.